So in today's class, we'll see about the internal ROM and external memories, both ROM and RAM. So whenever for some applications or for some programs, if the memory space assigned for 8051, the internal memory space, it may be RAM and ROM. If it is very less, okay, where the program is very big or you have controlling many devices, when the capacity of that memory decreases, then they'll go with this external interfacing. Okay, externally the memory, some storage space. Memory means what? Just some group of transistors where you can store the zeros and ones. Okay, that will be interfaced, that should be interfaced to the 8051. Externally it will be connected. Okay, when the given memory capacity is very less, or when the program stored or the program codes which are stored, if that is more than the capacity of 8051, then they go for this external interfacing. Now before going to that, we'll see what is this internal ROM, what is its capacity here. So whenever they ask about the memory organization, you have to mention all this: internal ROM, yesterday's, okay, internal RAM, internal ROM and external memories. Okay, the internal ROM occupies the code address. The address will start from 0H to FFH. Okay, FFFH. Okay, program addresses higher than this. Okay, when it becomes more than FFFH, then the internal ROM capacity, then it will cause the 8051 to automatically switch the code bytes from external program memory. If it exceeds this memory capacity. Code bytes can also be fetched from external memory directly from, you can take the code bytes directly from the external memory. Okay, by connecting. For that, what you have to do, there is in our 40 pin 8051, we have a external access pin, EA pin we have, that should be grounded to automatically use this external memory. So the what this PC, whatever the program, wherever we write, it does not care where the code is located. Only the designer will decide from where the code has to be fetched. So the designer can tell whether he wants it from internal ROM, whether he wants it from external ROM, or both. Okay, it all depends upon the designer. So whatever the address he gives, the PC will fetch the code from that memory. That is about our internal ROM, where the space is from 000H to FFFH. Next, coming about this external memory, two separate external memory spaces are available that can be accessed by using our 16-bit program counter and DPTR. Okay, PC and DPTR is used to access. And here again, this EA pin is grounded when using 803. ಇವಾಗ ಬಂತು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಸ್ಲೋ ಅಂತ ತಪ್ಪು. External, okay, the EA pin is grounded when using 8031. See, this both will go parallel. 8031 is same as 8051. Fine. They, instead of giving this 8051, they'll go with 8031 also. They mean the same. Okay, external RAM up to 64 kilo may be added to any chip in 8051 family. This is about external RAM. Yesterday we had studied about internal RAM which is built inside 8051. This is about the external RAM that we want to connect. Till where that memory capacity can go, it can go till 64K. So the figure will show the connections. I'll show the figure later. So external ROM is accessed whenever the EA pin is connected to ground. That is important. So whenever you write about this external RAM or ROM, it can be accessed only when this external access pin, that is EA pin, okay, that is grounded. When it is grounded, then only we can access it. So 8051 can use both internal and external ROM automatically. 8051 has that feature. For 8031, it should be connected externally. So whatever the points I have given there, that is being written here. Getting it? It is written from the textbook I have taken this Kenneth Ayala. Okay. The same points are given there. If you can go through it once. External RAM which is assessed by the DPTR may also be needed when 128 bytes of internal data storage is not sufficient. So whenever the data storage is not sufficient, then we'll go with the external RAM. So external RAM can go up to 64K. Till 64K extra can be added. Fine. So connecting external RAM, how that is done, we'll see. So they have taken the connections between 8031 and an external memory configuration consisting of consisting of 16K EPROM and 8K of static RAM. Okay, one EPROM we have and 8 kilobyte of static RAM is there. All that figure will be shown, and the timing associated with an external memory access cycle also is there. So during any memory access cycle, port 0 is time multiplexed. That is, it first provides lower byte of 16-bit memory address, then it acts as a bidirectional data bus to write and read a byte of memory data. So first this port 0 can be used for memory address, then it can be used for data. So both it will do. Okay, it can be used to send address also, it can be used to send data also. So this is the important figure. 1, 2, 3 times they have put this, but a little one complicated figure only. You have to draw this correctly. So we have here 8031 IC with port 0 and port 2 we have shown. For external memory, they'll go with these two ports, port 0 and port 2. And here at the pin 31, okay, this EA, external access, is grounded. That is important. Okay, external access is grounded. Next, all these pins, read and write, the two functions which we do here as read and write in memory. So that numbers, that pin is connected here. So we have 8K RAM and 16K EPROM. Okay, electric programmable ROM, read only memory, erasable programmable ROM. And this is RAM. Both this are interfaced to 8031 using the latch 373 latch. Okay, these connections you have to remember. Here the dashed lines shows the connections from EPROM to RAM chips. Okay, here the dashed lines they have given what that is been shown here, and here from AD0 to AD7. Okay, address and data both together, AD0, AD1, AD2, all, because data is of 7 bits. 8 bits from D0 to D7. So it contains both. So port 0 will send both address and data. So we have written ADAD. Okay, port 2 will send only address. So only A8, A9, A10. Only address, no data here. Okay, then we have PSEN pen, then read and write. All these are the pins that are used. So this is the external memory interfacing from between EPROM RAM to the 8031 microcontroller. Put this figure once in notes, it will help you. So here the lower address byte from port 0 must be latched to an external register to save the byte. Okay, the address byte save is accomplished by ALE, that is address latch enable. Okay, that is the pin that is used to latch or select the address, that is address latch enable pin is used. The port 0 pins then become free to serve as a data bus. If the memory access is for a byte program, okay, we want complete 8 bits if we want in the ROM, then we have to go with PSEN, that is program store enable pin. One is address latch enable, one more is program store enable pin. So that will go low to enable the ROM to place a byte. All this timing diagram is shown. If the access is for RAM byte, then write and read pins will go low. So if you want ROM, okay, if you want the byte from ROM, so PS, that is program store enable pin will help you. If you want to access RAM, then read and write pins will help us. Okay, that figure is shown here. This is the external memory timing. So we have port 0 and port 2 which are used for external. Port 0 has both address and data. Port 2 has only address. Okay, next we have address latch enable, which will go low. Okay, they are low active signals or low active pins. So we have latch address here. Next, for external memory addressing, we have this PSEN. Okay, program store enable. So that will enable ROM. PSEN will enable ROM, that is shown here. Next, read and write will enable the RAM for reading. So enable read and enable write for the RAM. So this is the external memory timing. External memory timing and external memory connections. Okay, that you have to put it neatly. This is from Kenneth Ayal textbook, not from SED. So some points about, I'll tell you, we had done IO port programming, we have done already. The same thing I'll continue here. Port 0, some important points from Kenneth Ayal textbook. First we had done from Masidi, this from this textbook we'll see. So port 0 pins may serve as inputs, outputs, or when used together as bidirectional. Okay, it can be used. And it can send port 0, it can send both address and data bus for external memory. Now we had seen. So to make it as input pin, 1 must be returned to the corresponding port 0. All 1 should be written. When port 0 is used as an output, the pin latches that are programmed to 0 will turn on the lower FET. With this FET grounding all that circuit, I'll show at the end. When port 0 is used an address bus to external memory, internal control signals switch the address lines to the gates of the field effect transistors. How that the gates are connected, by seeing that figure you can just write. So port 0 can be used for input, output and both. Okay, and lower address and data bus for external memory, and 1 should be written to make it as an input. That is important. And port 1 pins have no dual functions. Understood? They don't have any dual functions. Therefore, the output latch is connected directly to the gate of the lower FET. These notes I have given already. And this is just some important points here. For port 2, once you go through all this, port 2 may be used as an input output, same like port 1 also. The alternate use of port 2 is to supply high order address byte, okay, higher order. And that will start from A8, okay, A8, A9 till A15. That can be done using port 2. It can change by the address control signals also. Next, port 3 has some alternate functions. They are important. Port 3 they have asked many times. So port 3 is an input output port similar to port 1. The input and output functions can be programmed under the control of the P3 latches. Unlike port 0 and 2, which can have external addressing functions and change all 8 port bits when used in alternate use, each pin of port 3 may be individually programmed. Okay, that is important. Individually programmed, it can be done. So these are the alternate functions of port 3. Serial data input, serial data output, external interrupt 1, external timer 0, timer 1, and external memory for read and write. All these are the external all alternate functions of port 3. So some important points of port 1, port 2, port 0, 1, 2, 3 are given. Just go through it once. Next we have, this was the figure I was telling about the input output pins, ports and the circuits. Control signals we have, see here, this is the pin, port 0 pin configuration. This is the pin configuration. We have a control logic here, and this is the FET. VCC, which is there are two FETs connected here, and each pin represents this D flip-flop. Internal bus and write to latch is been connected here. So this will help us to use the ports for different works. Okay, control signals will come, address and data it can be used. It can use to read the latch. Whatever it's required, that is done, and the frequency for making this run is given by these two oscillator periods. So this figure is there for all the ports. Port 0, we have this figure for port 1, port 2 and port 3. Getting it? Only for port 0, we have this external pull-up resistor. We connected a 10 kilo ohm resistor. This we have here. Enhancement here, they put everything in terms of FET, field effect transistor. They are not going for bipolar. They have gone with FET transistors. For the only for that port 0 we don't have such a 10 kilo ohm resistor for port 1, port 2 and port 3. All are similar figures. If you just practice one, you can put this. Just for your knowledge, this is there. Okay. They were not asked this question, only for to get a knowledge like what are these IO ports, how they are used, what are their dual functions. But remember the alternate functions of port 3. They are important to know the alternate functions. Okay, this is about external memory and external memory connections. Uh, some important is in external memory, tell about this timing diagram. Okay, when external memory timing, if this figure is not clear, so whenever you get the test book now, go through that. And this figure one, okay, where you are doing the external memory interfacing. Nearly some 10 to 12 marks they've asked this, not 2 times they've asked this external memory connections. Draw the figure correctly and put these points, what is external memory and what are their storage capacities. Fine. This is about your external memory. Next, I had told about the bit directive, but I have not given the example for that. We have just covered this bit as we have seen 3 directives already. One is origin, one is end, and one more is equate. Okay, for that all we had given example for, but bit directive had not given. I had just given the sentence there. So with example we'll see this bit directive once. The bit directive is a widely used directive to assign the bit addressable IO and RAM locations. The bit directive allows a program to assign the IO or RAM bit at the beginning of the program. At the starting of the program only we can assign it, making it easier to modify later. So how that is done, we'll see with an example. Now assume that bit P2.3. What do you mean by P2.3? It is the third bit of port 2. Okay, third bit of port 2 is an input and represents the condition of an oven. Okay, just assume that it is representing the condition of oven, that is whether the oven is hot or whether it is cold. In that way it is representing a condition. If it goes high, it means that the oven is hot. Okay, whenever this pin goes high, what it means, that oven is hot. Monitor the pin continuously. See, whenever this monitor comes, we have to go with a jump on bit or jump on no bit. Okay, whenever that only will help you to monitor the bit. So whenever it goes high, send a low to high pulse. What they are giving? Send a low to high pulse to port P1.5. What is P1.5? It is the fifth bit of port 1 to turn on a buzzer. So buzzer is connected to P1.5 and O1 is connected to P2.3. So what the program should do? It should monitor the condition of the oven and it should send a low to high pulse. When it should send? When the oven is hot. Okay, that is the condition. So what they will do, they have taken in the program, you can see they have taken 2 variables here. One is oven hot and one is buzzer. Oven underscore hot, one more is buzzer. So these 2 variables, the 2 pins which they had given, P2.3 and P1.5. Okay, by taking this bit directive, that is important. By taking this bit directive, these 2 pins are assigned to the variables. What are the variables? Oven, hot and buzzer. For that variables, these pins are assigned. So whenever we write the program, so we are monitoring the switch, right? So for monitoring the switch, we are using the instruction JNB. So whenever I write JNB, I need not write here P2.3. Instead of P2.3, what we'll write? We'll write oven hot. Well, that variable can be used because that variable is assigned to P2.3. So just we'll be monitoring the bit here. So jump on no bit. That means a bit is not set. So when the bit is not set, it will be just rotating there only. The control will be moving here only. Whenever the bit is set, what it should do? It should send low to high signal. Low means what? Complement it. Okay, whatever 1 is there, it becomes 0, 0 becomes 1. So it will just complement the buzzer. That means the buzzer is activated. So what they have used the word? They have used the word buzzer here. They have not written P1.5, but they have used the variable buzzer, and that variable is assigned to P1.5 by using the directive bit. BIT bit is used here. So that is important. So whenever we write these directives, you have to write it with example. For origin and end, you can just write any one simple program. For bit, you have to mention like this. And one data type is there. Define byte, DB. First I had given in the starting class DB. That also you mention as a directive only. Okay. It is only one database we have in 8051, that is define byte. That also should be mentioned when you are writing about the directives. So that is one example. One more is a simple one here. LED is connected to pin P1.7. Write a program to toggle the LED. Just the LED should be toggled. That means what? It should just be on and off. 0 and 1, 0 and 1. It should be toggling. So what to do? How they'll do? See, this is P1.7. They have written only P. It should not be there. P1 should be written there. P1.7, it is connected to LED. LED is the variable they have used. It is been defined as bit. Okay, bit is the directive. So just to complement LED, CPL is the instruction that is being used. Okay, it is a bit addressing instruction. So CPL LED means it will be just complementing the P1.7. Okay, it will be toggling. Then we are just calling a delay program. Any delay program can be written. Okay, here also L call delay. Here there is the absolute call delay and here is the long call delay. The address will be changing here. Okay, whenever we write this L call and A call. And one more thing, what is the use of writing this is whenever we write the pages together program, instead of changing the pin or the pin number throughout the program, if you just change here, if you want to change now instead of O1 hot, you want to write any other variable, you can just change at the starting of the program. It will help, it will change the entire program. Okay, you need not go to each and every sentence in the program and change it. You just can change the bit at the starting of the program itself. So that will help us by using this bit directive. Next, one more program the same way. A switch is connected to pin P1.7 and LED to P2.0. Write a program to get the status of the switch and send it to the LED. So just the two pins P1.7 and P2.0 are assigned to variables SW, that is switch and LED. Okay. So it will be just monitored. So whatever the status of the switch, they are sending it to carry flag. See here, move C comma SW. SW means what? It is pin 1.7. This pin is moved, or the status of that pin is moved to the carry flag. C represents carry flag here. It represents carry flag which is in the program status word. So whatever is the status of the carry flag, that is sent to the LED. So what is LED? LED is nothing but P2.0. So the status of the pin P1.7 is sent to the P2.0. This is the example to show you how the bit directives are used. Hope you have understood. Okay, today's class we will stop here.